Hey, Vedran, how you doing, mate?
Oh, hi, Jason. Hi. It's nice. Nice. It's good.
Uh, let's jump straight in. So, why don't you just tell people about your story, how you kind of ended up with OP and what happened?
Yeah, okay. So my problem started, I was like normal sport person who was doing many sports. And at one year, it was like at January 2018, I had some stupid skiing injury. And I hurt my adductor, and it seems like, yeah, okay, I sprained something, like, okay, it will heal eventually, but it just didn't. And not only that it did not heal, it kind of it wasn't getting any better. And I was I was pretty depressed because I really love doing sports. That's something, when you have free time, you do something what you like, and I like sports. So yeah, it was like a pretty bad situation. And yeah, and also the problem is that I just didn't see any at one point, after a lot of months. It was like, I don't know, okay, it was counting months, but I don't remember how many, but let's say near half a year. It just didn't seem that it was improving. And okay, I was googling things, and yeah, there were some kind of diagnoses like sports hernia, painful groin, OP, and I mean, then intuitively, it did seem like it was similar things to me. And after your treatment, I just put them in the same in the same file. I mean, it actually it is the same, but it's not
Yeah.
the part of this now. Yeah. and and yeah, okay, so I just, I mean, okay, I can say I was on the magnetic resonance, and they say like, yeah, okay, you have some kind of inflammatory process at the pubic bone, at your adductors attachment. And okay, that's it. And I also read some literature about somebody was operating it, like, I don't know, making putting some kind of net to making
Mesh. Yeah.
those structures stronger and stuff.
Mm.
And they promise like it's working. And then, yeah, among random things, I found your website. And what was good in your website is that you didn't try to sell it. You first you tried to explain it what it is. And I mean, you were totally with totally open cards before the treatment, any treatment is started. It was totally obvious what can you expect in your treatment. First of all, you explained that let's call it illness pretty good. I mean, it makes sense even for somebody who didn't heard about haven't heard about it any time before. So yeah, that's it. And then I was thinking like, yeah, okay, it really seems reasonable. I'm in pretty bad physical condition, and I'm so unhappy because of that. So yeah, I think, I hope this will work. And then I called you.
For everyone watching this, Vedran's a doctor. So
Yeah,
what
yeah,
yeah, what would be really cool for you to explain is, so you read through the literature, like you read through my website, you read through a bunch of stuff. What made you, I guess, because like people are trying to do the same thing, but not with your level of understanding or expertise. Like what drew you to the idea of, oh, this thing of going, okay, cool. I'm reading these things about surgery. I'm reading about all these different principles. What allowed, like, what did you take away from that process, and what kind of finally which got you to the point where you were like, okay, cool, I'm going to choose to work on this rehab, even if, like, the person who's giving it to me is telling me it's not going to be perfect, it's going to be hard. Like, what made you go, okay, cool, I'm not going to do this surgical option written in a medical journal talking about this stuff. I'm going to do this weird dude on the internet, like, stuff through here. I just talk people through that thought process, because a lot of people are probably going through the same thing, but without your level of expertise to break things down.
Okay, I'm a cardiology resident right now, so I'm not any kind of that specialty. But yeah, okay, let's say that I do have some kind of medical insight in illnesses in general.
Mhm.
So yeah, okay, I really when you're interested, okay, I do have some kind of let's say reliable sources that seems okay, but Yeah, about that painful. And I did ask some of my colleagues that are into that kind of field. Some of them are orthopedic, some of them are physical rehab medicine. Yeah, and I actually got some kind of prescriptive treatment, like it was some kind of ultrasound waves and laser waves put put on the place of injury, and some kind of random I don't know, some ab exercise, like to make my abs stronger or something like that. Never mind. Of course, it didn't improve, and yeah, actually, I was talking with you at some points that I mean, your process, your rehab process, it's really obvious. And after I saw it, and after I went through it, uh, I mean, I was so shocked that that just didn't made some kind of natural intro to the medicine. Okay, maybe it did at some points of medical care system that I didn't see, but I mean, I don't blame those doctors or anybody. It's like that. They're not stupid. They're just it's you know, they have always been doing things that way, and there wasn't I mean, the things that you are doing, it's not in some kind of obvious book. For example, I was reading in there is like up-to-date site that's I mean, it's really reliable medical site. There's also Medscape, and there were some kind of published journals. I was really reading this out because I'm so interested in healing myself. And yeah, okay, they were somebody said something, but in a shy way, like, yeah, some kind of physical therapy may help, whatever that means. And I also I was reading about some kind of professional sports people that went through some kind of surgery which somehow helped them. Okay, I don't know. I didn't try it, so I don't know. Maybe I mean, it seems too invasive to cut something. It really is like that. When you need surgery, you need surgery. But come on, it's not something you should do that easy. Especially, I mean, okay, somebody said like physical therapy may help, but I didn't feel that I did the right physical therapy. It was like, I don't know, maybe it's written somewhere, but I just didn't read it until your website. So obvious and so clear the path of healing it without some kind of surgery. So long story short, yeah, I mean, it really didn't seem, which is really shocking because your way is very logical. I mean, so not invasive. So it's not, it's not dangerous. It's like what you want is you see that let's say illness, that problem, like problem of your moving pattern, and you're trying to heal it by correcting your moving pattern. Because if you didn't have that moving pattern, okay, I did fall while I was skiing, but it's not, I'm not the only guy who fell while skiing. What was, let's say, my theory of my okay, it more often the OP can occur to people that didn't fall. They just start to feel it without any event. But theoretically, I would explain by gradation. Let's say that when I hurt it a little bit, I was still moving in wrong way, but let's say my adductors could bear it. But when I just hurt it a little bit, it wasn't possible anymore, and I was just hurting it, and it didn't. I didn't see any hope. So yeah, until I talked to you, nobody did not think in that way, like correcting the pattern of movement that may cause the problem. No, they were just suggesting some kind of random ab exercise on some kind of laser ultrasound. It just didn't make any sense. It was not changing the pattern of movement that may cause the problem. And when you explain, it's so obvious. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's funny. You bring up a bunch of really important points there. So the first one, I think, is just, it's important for people to hear because a lot of my clients, like, they go, oh, why didn't I find you earlier? Or like, I did all these other things that didn't work. I always think it's really important for people to understand. It's like, do you know what I mean? Like, you've got an education and a background in being able to interpret information, even if it's not in your field. You're able to, like,
yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, totally.
And you struggled with it. There was information there and it didn't make sense to you. So if it didn't make sense to you, it's fair that it doesn't make sense to anyone.
Yeah, of course.
And that, if you're watching this, you want to understand, like, it's really hard to make good decisions about OP because the information makes it difficult and stuff like that. It's funny the way you describe it there with your injury. That's exactly how I would characterize it, which is kind of like, you were fine. Everything was fine. Like, no one moves perfectly. Everyone has like these problematic patterns, but you're like, you can be fine and it can be okay. But something pushes you over the edge. And for some people, maybe it's just training more, like they'll overtrain. For you, it was an acute injury. And then for other people, it's just age. What they can get away with at 35 with bad movement patterns, they can't get away with at 45 with bad movement patterns, sort of things.
Yeah.
But and then for women and pregnancy, it's like giving birth. But it's like, oh, now you have this like issue, like you've pushed, like the straw's broken the camel's back. It's just pushed you over the edge a little too much. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, now you can't handle those bad movement patterns anymore. And now instead of each time you exercising, you get stronger and fitter. Each time you exercise, like, you're chipping it away at your body. You're breaking it a little bit more. And so each time is worse and worse. And then eventually it's like, oh, okay, it's been 2 years now. And now I'm really feeling bad. It's been 6 months. Now I'm really feeling bad. That's exactly how I would characterize your injury. Like that 1 inch, it just set off everything that was underneath. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, cool, you can't get away with this anymore. And so now you have to stress it.
It's like,
and
you just see that progression you want. You don't see it. It does.
And the last point that you brought up, which I think is really, really important, is just the idea that, like, it's kind of like, the logic. Like, to me, it's like everything about, like, so obviously it's not as complicated to you, again, because you can, like, gather more information than the average person and understand it. To me, I understand, like, for people it's complicated. I'll explain, like, this system, your foot has to do this, and your glute needs to do this, and your core needs to do this. Like, there's a lot of things going on. But to me, it's logical. It's like this happens, then this happens, then this happens. Like if you drew it on a chart, you could map it, right? Like and there'd be no gray bits where you couldn't explain something. One step would lead to the other through there. And I think that the thing that sometimes, like, when you've got OP that people don't like do is they don't kind of follow the steps and they go, okay, I'm going to do this exercise. How is this exercise going to take pressure off my pubic bone? How am I going to be able to apply what I've done in this exercise when I'm walking or running or whatever I want to do with my life? And if you can answer those questions, then you can go, okay, cool. That, like, that makes sense. This could help. Like, I believe in the logic of this thing. I should try it. I think most people kind of go, if I kind of say to you, well, we're going to strengthen your core and that's going to take pressure off your pelvis and then you'll feel better. That logically makes sense, like in a really basic way, until you break it down. You go, how is it strengthening your core? Why, why is my core not working? Like when you start to actually,
is his core working? Like,
yeah, exactly. Why is his core working and mine not core working? How is that going to, like, cool, I'm going to do it in that exercise. How is it going to transfer when I'm not thinking? Because when I'm running, I don't have time to think about my core. It just should turn on. The minute you start to actually analyze it and break it down, it's like, oh, actually, no, you're not, like, that statement I said, we're going to strengthen the core and take pressure off your pelvis. That answers nothing. It's just gobbledygook. I'm just saying words, right? Like, and it's like, I think people don't do that enough. Like, that's the number one thing. It's just like, and they do after they've been through like 4 or 5 different therapists. So I guess it's just me going that roundabout process, telling people who are watching this that, like, hey, if you've been to 4 or 5 different therapists and you haven't got them, you kind of have to go through that, start asking the right questions and then start demanding more information. Because at the start, you were kind of happy to believe anything that was told to you, which is great. Except when it doesn't get you the results you need, you have to find the answers. No one else is going to find them for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's funny because the way you describe it, I think highlights that perfectly. So it's been like 2 years now, and it's been like
almost 3 years now.
3 years, geez.
Almost 3 years.
So can you tell people? So obviously, it's been a while since you've had to work on as many exercises and stuff like that. Can you tell people just like some of the things that you have taken away or you still hold on to 3 years later? Like, it's like obviously like I have like over 300 exercises and stuff like that. But what are like the few things that you've taken away that you think people need to know when they're dealing with their OP?
You mean some kind of specific things with the muscles, like exact things?
Not exact things, just even concepts or ideas. Just broad.
Okay, then concepts. Yeah, I get it. So I mean, let's say that in maybe a few months after I was healed, I occasionally, when I don't know, do too much, let's say play soccer for 2 hours or something like that, then I may forget myself, and let's say that I did feel some groin, but I mean a little bit. And then I would think I didn't I mean I wouldn't panic at all. It was just like, okay, the pain I'm feeling now, it's it's nothing compared to how it was before I started treatment and during the part of the treatment before it was solved. And then I would just say, okay, I'll just use the key concepts that I took from the treatments, and my muscles have that muscle memory of that. And I was like, in those rare situations that I mean that I think that it didn't occur in in, let's say, maybe 1-2 years. I'm totally okay now, and I mean I was then, but I occasionally felt it, but pretty rare. I was just in those situations. I would think like, okay, now I just have to focus a little bit, not too much. I'll just have to remember stuff with it because I'm now much better than I was at the prime of my OP. So okay, let's just think. So yeah, just keep that vertical line, the deep front line. Am I right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Try to focus that your pelvis is stable with core breathing, and yeah, when you let's say jump your foot to the ground, just are your glutes activated? Yeah, they are okay. And are you making some kind of stupid lateral adductor movements without doing it with the core? If yes, then correct it and use it in a way that you don't you don't press your adductors, you don't you don't stop holding your pelvis from above, and you have that straight line, which you can have it because you have it like in all the other situations. And yeah, just apply those, let's say, key points. Maybe somebody would take away something a little bit differently, but I'm just saying how I took it. So yeah.
And so what Vedran's like talking about there is basically like, so you go through all these exercises, you commit these things to muscle memory in your body. And so what he's taking you through there is basically his mental kind of checklist of going, all right, something's feeling wrong. I don't need to panic. I just need to like methodically go through and find which part of my system is not activating. And he doesn't have to, like, when he goes, I feel some glutes turning on. It's not like he's going, hey, and squeezing his glute and making it turn on. He just has to remind that system to switch on reflexively. So, you know, you probably would have done maybe a couple of squats or something just to stimulate it, just to be like, hey, you're supposed to be doing this, like, remember? And then things, but it's in his muscle memory. So he's not thinking about that on every step. He's just kind of going, hey, have you gotten lazy? Oh, you have gotten lazy. Okay, cool. Let me stimulate you. All right, good. We're good to go now. Now we can kind of
go. I have to use my mind. Like, I'm too tired. I did let's say some too brutal sport on me, and okay, there's the little situation that I have to think about it, and then oh yeah, I remember it. I'm okay now.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this. Anyone who's watching this, hopefully take a lot. But yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.